Hi, grade 12s. The deadline for CAS is April 1st. That means it's really quickly approaching, and CAS needs to be complete for your diploma to be complete. So this video is going to remind you and hopefully show you very clearly what you have to have finished in order to have your CAS portfolio completely done and signed off on. Here we look at Tobias Wilberforce's imaginary portfolio. It's pretty much complete. There's one thing that Tobias needs to do. So let's go through it. First, we see all of Tobias's experiences. You notice that almost every single experience has a green check mark next to it. Everything except for Creative Writing Club. You need to get your experiences to the green check mark. Okay? A blue thumbs up means that your advisor has approved the experience. That's great. You've probably already done it, right? It's probably finished already. But in Manage Back, it's not complete until it has a green check mark. That's really, really significant because when we look over at the hours, the total hours, you see them over here. Look at what Tobias has. 50 creativity hours approved, 165 activity hours approved, and 95 service hours approved. But in the completed section, which is what really matters at this point, only 25 creativity hours are completed. 165 activity hours are complete and 95 service hours are complete. So that's great. But Tobias is really short on creativity hours. The IB is going to look at that and say, this is not balanced enough. 25 is really short. You should be at or very close to 50 hours. So what's the problem here is that this creativity club is approved, but it is not complete. So what's Tobias going to do to move Creative Writing Club to complete? And what do you need to do for every single one of your experiences that doesn't have a green check mark yet? So here's how it looks. You go into it, right? And over here, you see Request Supervisor Review. That's what Tobias needs to click on in order to send the review and the reflections and evidence to their supervisor. You click that. Now your supervisor will get an email and can respond to the email. And when they do that, they will turn your experience into a green check mark. If you're in a tough situation right now where you have many, many different experiences that are only the blue thumbs up, and you need to send a whole bunch of supervisory reviews, first of all, you need to do that right away. Second, I would really recommend sending emails to accompany those reviews because your supervisor will get an email from Manage Back that they'll probably respond to. But right now, you don't have a lot of time to work with, so it would be a good idea to also send an email that says, hey, Mr. Williams, I just sent you an email from Manage Back asking for you to review my experience. It would be very helpful if you could do that for me. Thank you very much. But reminding them that this is actually a personal request you're making, not just an automated piece of spam, which they probably won't think, but we don't have enough time. So it's really helpful if you send emails to accompany requests. Okay, so let's say that actually got received and got completed. Now everything is green check mark in Tobias's account and all the hours are there. Great. Okay, additional things. Tobias needs to be reflecting on everything that that they do because constant reflection is a requirement of the CAS portfolio. And you can see that Tobias has actually written a single reflection for every single one of these experiences. So if I'm Tobias's advisor, I say, great, Tobias is reflecting. Down here is where you really see the truth of Tobias's progress. Learning outcomes. All 7 learning outcomes need to be complete at least once, which means they need to show up here in the color green, not the color orange. Orange means planned, green means complete. Okay, so great. Tobias has completed each learning outcome at least once, and that's because all of these are green check marks, all the reflections are complete. All right, let's look at hours progress. We've already seen it over here. We know that Tobias has completed 50 hours of creativity, 165 of activity, and 95 of service. So definitely Tobias has met the hours thresholds. Now let's look at timeline. We want to see that from the beginning of CAS, so it was September of 2017, all the way to the end of CAS, so actually April of 2019, there's always something going on. Okay, so there is for Tobias. You can see that last year, really all Tobias did was rowing and also this homelessness hackathon. All right, so they weren't that involved in CAS last year, but it was happening the whole time, so that's fine. And then Tobias really upped the CAS in grade 12 to make sure that that it was completed, and this is a perfectly fine timeline. There are no big chunks of time where nothing's going on. Okay, good job, Tobias. The last thing Tobias needs to make sure to have is a CAS project. So I can look and see, is anything marked as a CAS project? And this cube here that shows blue, red, and green, that's the sign of a CAS project. So Homelessness Hackathon is the CAS project. The other piece of documentation that needs to accompany the CAS project is a filled out CAS project form, which Tobias needs to upload. So let's take a look at their documents. And yes, there it is, the BH CAS project form. Tobias has filled it out and uploaded it. And if Tobias wanted to add another one, he'd click on add document and would be able to choose a file and upload it. Okay, so that's it. Everything's there. That's great. We've got CAS project, we've got all the outcomes, all the hours, and the timeline. So now Tobias's advisor can actually click on this amazing button here. Student has completed the CAS program, and Tobias is done. And I'm going to go in and review Tobias's portfolio, and I'm going to say the same thing, that it's finished. So that's perfect. So each of you needs to get to that point very, very quickly. If you don't get it completed by the April 1st deadline, then we'll need to start pulling you from classes and making sure that it gets complete, because can't emphasize it enough. This is a vital, absolutely required part of the diploma that most of you are very close to completing. Now it's time to do these final steps, okay? And that's what advisor will be about today, and what some of your time needs to be spent on approaching that deadline so that it doesn't start to impact your class time and become a real big problem. Okay, but as I said, most of you are almost there and have done a great job with CAS these last 2 years. Let's finish the job. If you have any questions, as always, you can email me and I'd be really happy to help.